What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with the review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, there's some we'll talk some shite news. There's some happy news. People, how are you feeling today? Yes, I'm lost there. I'm gonna say I'm pissed off, but at the same time, I'm really, really happy. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment below, people. How are you feeling about yesterday's defeat? Steve Cooper is staying for the time being. How is everyone feeling? Before I go through the comments and get to introduce to everyone, it's Boys and Girls Show today. We've got the young, we've got the old, we've got the good looking. Yeah.
Watch it. Obviously, I'm young and good looking, so.
Yes.
I'll put my hand up.
First of all, let's.
The old.
First of all, we've got Michaela. How are you, Michaela?
I'm good. I'm better. I wasn't very happy last night, and then I was like, "Oh God, we might sack him." So I was like, I had a bit of a. Got up at like 5 o'clock, all worried, but I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good.
Good. Next up, we've got the man himself, Mark. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I was a bit deflated after the match, but cheered up a bit today with the nice
Good.
see the club make an official announcement for a change.
And that's what we're going to talk about today as well. Last but not least, she's been banned, she's been crazy, she's been drinking, she's been doing this and that. She's loved up. What else can I talk about? We've got the star woman, Ellie. How you doing, Ellie?
I've been on a bit of an emotional roller coaster in the last 12 hours, to say the least. I've just been ultimately deflated and defeated. And then the rumours that, Cooper out and he's getting a sack overnight, just, updating every 2 seconds to make sure, to find out. Then you find out we're keeping him. So my heart's just a bit, I don't know how to feel at the moment. All over the shop.
All over the shop. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I was exactly the same all last night on the way back to Nottingham, looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Well, if I was finding comments, what was you doing exactly the same I was? I was doing it all day yesterday. And when we saw the announcement, he was staying. TalkSport. I'm not going to mention TalkSport, but that's a different show. That's a different show. Before we do talk about Cooper and yesterday's game, let's go through the comments. There's quite a lot for you happy. Long hair Yeti. Hey, dog. Got to say I'm happy with the owner that come out silenced and discounted and wannabe journos and people who are properly ITKs. Yeah, there's loads of them. Like TalkSport. I keep talking about them. We aren't yet down. It could happen, but money would talk, as always does. If I say we go down, we'll go down together. That's my opinion. Sometimes that's change through, and we can't counter it. If you 100%, like it's just money talks. But the best thing the news today, Steve Cooper staying. Paul says, "Hope you're well. Everyone can still do it, please. With about what Steve Cooper all is together." Yeah. Kevin says, Ellie and Michaela bringing views for once. Welcome, everyone. Let's stick together. What about Mark? Kevin, what about Mark? You can't forget Mark.
Newcastle.
How can you forget?
3-1 up.
Come on.
Screaming in the background.
As well. Just from Josh. Evening, guys. I hope you're all well. I'm delighted that we kept Cooper. As he got us in the Premier League in the first place, 100%. Adam says, "Good evening. I hope you're all well. I'm happy to keep staying. Let us move on now. We are Nottingham Forest. We fight to the end." 100%. I like that. Right, guys. Evening all. 100% with Steve Cooper. Still think we'll stay up. And again, that's what we're going to talk about throughout the show. Grace says, "In Cooper we trust." So there's loads of comments here. Leo says, "We'll fight to whatever happens. We'll show more fight away from home in Steve Cooper we trust." There's quite a people. And last one, shout out to you. Good evening, Mr. Door, Michaela, even Mark. Hope you're well. I got to be lost last night, but I'm happy to be staying. 100% believe we're staying up and couldn't join a new picture. Can't draw Michaela. Just draw Michaela with a nice face.
She has drawn me.
Have you?
Yes, she has.
Do another one.
With my yellow and white jumper. She had a beautiful drawing.
Oh, okay. The comments are coming through, fixing fast. Sorry. Well, hey, Door, and all. Glad to keep staying. He's the best man for the job. He'll turn it around. He will turn it around. He will turn it around. You just got to have faith. Like there's loads of there's loads of comments coming through. Freaking fire. Evening all people. Good decision for the right decision made by the owner. Let's do this. And again, what the man Pat, how you doing, Pat? Evening, ladies and chaps. Door, come rain and shine, Blee will be. Oh, get a grip of yourself. Hey, block next year. Look at me. Billy, shut up. I'm not gonna get. Yeah. I'm not gonna. He knows what I'm talking about. Right. Let's talk about the big news. We're talking about the best news. Let's talk about the good news. Steve Cooper staying. Michaela, what's your thoughts on it?
Delighted. They did the right thing. I was very nervous. Like last night, the boys went to the game. I watched it on TV.
I saw them both.
So I was just really nervous, and I kept people that think they know things were messaging me. Oh, he's gone. He's definitely gone. Like, yeah, whatever. So I was really delighted when I was at work today, and my watch went crazy with everyone telling me that they'd made an announcement. So it's the right thing to do, isn't it? We've got to be, the football last night was pretty, it wasn't great, was it? But it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to stick with him. He deserves it. It would be the wrong decision now. And I'm glad they've made a statement. They've done the right thing, 100%.
Ellie, what's your opinion on Steve Cooper?
I'm so glad that he's staying. I mean, I woke up this morning to rumours initially that it was Cooper out and Patrick Vieira in, which was just, I wasn't sure how pleased I would be about that. But I'm just so glad. I think the history we have at the club recently with how the massive lack of stability and lack of consistency, especially the last year where we've basically got an entirely new squad, and the only thing we've got that's been consistent is Steve Cooper, Brennan Johnson, and even Yatesy is injured and Worrell's out, and it would be so silly on so many levels when what we've been lacking more than probably anything is cohesion and consistency of any sort to get rid of the only thing that has been somewhat consistent this season. In Steve Cooper, we trust. He's had a tough job. And if we do go down, who's going to be the man to get us up? It's going to be Steve Cooper. And who's going to be the man to keep us up? Which I still think we will stay up. Steve Cooper.
People in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that Steve Cooper, if we do get relegated, like we're not, we're not people, we're not going that. Yeah. Before I get Mark, I've got a new member to the channel. Thank you, Chris, for being a member. If you can, Chris, you can message me or email me if you can. But much appreciated for being a member to my channel. If you want to be a member, people, the $ signs at the bottom. Mark, what's your thoughts on it? On Cooper staying?
I've always been Cooper in all the way along. I called it even when they were calling for his head after the Leicester game, and a lot of people thought he was gone, and they removed the contract offer. I did say at the time, to one of the other lads, said, "Have you ever considered they might have withdrawn the contract offer so that you make him a better one?" And within two days, they'd made him an improved offer. So I was proved wrong on that one, but. I think, I can understand there's been a lot of people among our fan base, not just in the media, saying they want him gone. They don't think he's up to the job. And based on results, it's not looking good for him at the moment. But like I said earlier, I just really enjoyed the club coming out and making an official statement, because the media were just running roughshod, and all the social media guys saying he's gone. Like I said, they were saying Patrick Vieira was a shoo-in. And it just goes on and on and on, and it just divides the fan base. It doesn't do the players any good, doesn't do the club any good. And it's just really nice that the club came out and made a proper official statement. But the social media guys are still hanging on to the lines in there that say things must improve quickly, immediately. And so rather than concentrate on the overall picture, which is they're sticking by Cooper at the moment, they just want to zero in again on the one part of the statement which sort of like to them says, oh yeah, they might be backing him at the moment, but they're saying if it doesn't change quickly, he's gone, and that's all they're bothered about, just sensationalising everything. No good for anybody. I think the best thing is, our fan base are mostly behind him, and they show that home and away in the way they sing his name. And so, for me, I've always said he's a long-term appointment, and I hope that continues, whether we go down or not.
Mark, people in the comments saying that you're breaking up. When it's, so they can't really hear you that well.
Okay.
So I don't know what. If you come back in, Mark, come back, come out and come back in again. Okay.
All right. No problem.
I don't know why. I don't know what that is. This is for you, Michaela. Like I said, it was as well. Marinakis come out of it as well, and it's a big statement. Do you agree that what he put on the statement?
Yes, I mean, look, it's been a tough season, hasn't it? It was never going to be easy, was it? I think, I remember saying to Kevin Campbell, he said to us, it's going to be a long season. Like, you don't just go up and suddenly start playing beautiful football and become. I'm amazed that fans just expect us to be like, 10th or something or 9th. It was gonna be hard, wasn't it? And with all these signings and things, but I think it was, he's not going to be like. I think the way he worded it was probably was tame for him, and I think we're lucky that he probably read the room and thought, this guy's supremely popular, so I'm gonna temper my comments. You can see through it that he's not. I don't think Cooper's. I think he's still on slightly shaky ground with the Marinakis and his team. I believe. I don't think it's like 100% they're behind him and they're going to back him whatever happens, because this is football. It's the Premier League. It's lots of money. It's big egos. So I'm glad he did it, and I think for him, I thought that's kind of what I would expect for him to say. So because look, you're not going to be like, hey, we've just had the best season ever, we're going to keep him, because it's been like our away form is shocking. So as an owner, I think he probably feels like he's got the right to say how he said it. But I'm glad he's put his money where his mouth is and he's backed him. So this is what we wanted as fans, isn't it? So, what more can you ask for, really?
Oh, did you listen to Steve Cooper's interview at the end of the game last night?
I haven't seen it. I was a bit traumatized and avoided anything.
Mark, talk, Mark. See if you're okay to talk, Mark.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
You all right? Talk now. Keep going.
Yeah. So you were just asking Ali about the post-match interview.
He's still breaking up, Mark. Mark,
have you picked up some Russians or something? I think they're interfering. The Greeks aren't. They're like, oh, not sure what he's going to say.
I don't know. I can try and come back in through YouTube rather than Facebook.
Yeah, try that. Come through YouTube, not Facebook.
That his interview broke my heart.
No, you know what? It broke my heart as well. That's why I was asking Ellie. But Michaela, like I said,
what about it?
No, right. Let me change it. Like, Ellie went to the game last night.
Yes.
That the wave that Steve Cooper did at the end on the tunnel. Me personally, that broke me. That really. How did you feel about it, Ellie, when you seen it?
It did feel. I haven't actually seen the interview, and but I have heard about it, obviously, and for me, it just felt like when I heard the rumors, I did believe it. A lot of time you hear rumors Cooper out, it felt like a goodbye. And I love that Steve Cooper loves the club and he loves Nottingham Forest. And it felt like he really didn't want to go. He didn't want to say goodbye. He's become a part of this Forest community, and more so than lots of managers. Obviously, a manager, they're supposed to love the club and love the team, but he has this connection with the fans that all our previous, well, not all our previous managers, but a lot of our previous managers have completely lacked. And the way that he's stuck with us, the way that he is so emotionally involved has been a large reason to, I think, how he got us promoted and getting that passion and fight in so many of the players of last season. And just, it was really sad. I was really upset. I just, if that news broke, I think I was going to mourn that, like actually grieve. And because I have such a genuine personal, emotional love for Cooper, more so than any other, manager that we've had, that I would actually be like genuinely upset to lose him, not just based on a football way, but also in like a sentimental value. And I was so glad that that wasn't actually, hopefully, a goodbye.
Mark, you okay to talk?
Yeah. Can everyone hear me clearly now?
You're better than another time. You're better than another time. Before we do go, I've got another member, Lee Tilson. Thank you, Lee. Don't phone me, Lee. Lee, don't bother phoning me. I know who you are, Lee.
How much do we pay you, Lee, for that?
Don't bother phoning me, Lee. Before doing, I'm going through the comments. Like there's some good comments like as well. This one, Paul thought Cooper felt down. He did. He really did. But what Robert says, Cooper generally cares. He means a lot. Simon says, agree with Michaela. Too much testosterone and female eggy goes in football. Need more female owners and board members, to be honest.
Hashtag him too.
Yeah. What's the name, Ellie? From the one at West Ham?
Karen Brady.
Karen Brady. Yeah, she's one. Yeah, and the Newcastle owner.
Well, like this.
That's one. This one, Kieran. It's not Cooper. It's the quality of our side on the pitch. Yes, we have some good talent, but at the end of the day, some of our players are not standard Premier League football players. Yeah. Wow. Okay. You could choose to be fair. Long Yeti said Cooper loves the club 23 years, and he did it 100%. Derek, if it's for you, Ellie. Hi, Ellie. I still have all that stuff for you when I'm next in Nottingham. What's Derek got for you?
He's a legend. He says he's got some original programs from like 70s and 80s.
Wait. Why? I don't understand. Why are people giving love to Michaela and Ellie and me and Mark are here?
What do you mean? Why?
Why are we not getting no love? Why are we not getting no love? People in the chat, show me and Mark some love. Why is these two getting love?
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I'm not saying people, show me and Mark some love. Come on. Get the thumbs up for me and Mark. Come on. Sad. He did you last night sounding like a man under his tether. I know as it's been end of my mind on a regular basis. It broke my heart. It really got to me yesterday. Michaela, like he's done so much for the club, and like I said it. How was you feeling when you heard that interview?
I felt devastated for him. He just looked. I felt like he's been like this for a bit of a long time. I think he seems a bit like, God, like, what can I do? What can we do to kind of change this? It must be a nightmare when you go to these away games. You think, God, we've just got to win one of these bloody games. Like, I felt like he felt he was going last night. I really do. I felt like he was like the way that when he, Paul Taylor said, when he turned at the tunnel and waved at the fans, like, I was really like, no, my God, like, oh.
Michaela, I was when I was on the ground, I was really looking at him, and when I seen it, I said to Dave, "He's gone.
He's gone." And I think last night, the game was so, that second half was so, like, I was watching on TV, so I wasn't there, but you could tell the atmosphere had completely changed. Our fans are so good, but when they drop off and you don't hear them, like you could palpably feel it through the TV, and you could see it. The players were getting more and more pissed off. The whole thing felt wrong. So I was expecting, and then he did that interview, and you thought, oh my God, he thinks he's going. Like, this is it, kind of thing. We're going to lose him. And I'm so glad. I think the social media and the Twitter outpour is seen by the club. I know they must see it. I think they test the waters, they read the room, they know that we are behind this man, come rain or shine, come high or low. So I think that's what kept his job. Personally, I think that changed it. But that interview, it felt like a goodbye. It felt like I've done what I can, and I'm gonna have to like let it go. That's how I felt it read.
Mark, do you think the players are for the blame for these performances, or is it just you got to stick with Cooper? Do you think Cooper's blame?
It's very difficult, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but yeah, I watched the post-match interview and you could just see he was so deflated because we'd started well, the players were sticking to the plan, and then as soon as we scored, everything just changed. And then in the second half, although we had some spells, which it was sort of like saying he was half pleased with. We had no teeth up front, and it was just really sad. It's almost like he's got tired of keep being interviewed after losing, or losing points. Or yeah. I thought the same. I thought he thinks he's on his way out, and that was why the announcement did surprise me a bit today.
Ellie,
I think we can't just pin it on the players, but unfortunately in football, it's the manager who always takes the fall first. You've got to have some real backbone to take a job like that. It's like in most walks of life, when you go to work, you set targets or you're expected to achieve certain things, and typically if you don't achieve those things, then you might go through a disciplinary process yourself, but your manager never goes through that. With football, it's the other way around. You never hear about any of the players going through that. The only things we hear is that they're out of favour, or and it's usually based on rumour. So football managers' job for me are one of the hardest in the world, because they're judged on results in the end, and not by us, because we know the majority of the Forest fan base will stick by him. But if the owners decide to pull the trigger, we've got no real say in it.
Elliot, I was saying about with the so-called journalists, like especially I mentioned Talk Sports. There was a few journalists last night ready to say Cooper's gone. Do you think now the owners, the journos are now upset because Cooper's here now? I
think, to be fair to them, I think we all, as whether we wanted it or not, did believe that he was gone. It, like you say, it did feel like a final goodbye. It did feel like, beyond being stressed, it felt like actual genuine sadness. And I think I've seen quite a mixture. Maybe it's because I only like to look at the positive things, so I just refuse to see anything that's not my way. But a lot of people, as well as fans, have been saying the same thing, that it would be silly if Steve Cooper did go. It would be a big mistake for the club. Ridiculous idea this late on in the season with so many key matches to lose him. And I think the fans are over the moon. Journalists probably were hoping for a bit of drama, and now they've been made to look silly by spreading that false information. But it does make you wonder, with the way Cooper was, how close was he to being sacked? Because it did look like he thought he was being sacked, if you know what I mean. So it does make you wonder what's gone on now, what Cooper's been told. But I think one thing I noticed in Marinakis' statement that freaks me out is he doesn't say Cooper will remain or is here for the remainder of the system. There's no promise of how much longer he's here. It very specifically and is carefully worded as remains at the club, present tense. Maybe I'm not a little bit too much because I'm a freak, but it feels very like, don't get your hopes up. But I think, like Michaela said, rightfully, was the fans have played a huge part in him staying. They played a huge part. I say they, we played a huge part in him staying initially after that Leicester match where we got smacked 4-0. And then I think it's the same now. We were singing in the stands, Steve Cooper. Admittedly, in the second half, I think we all felt defeated and a little bit depressed. But when we were singing for Steve Cooper, making our point heard that we want him to stay.
Because do you really think Marinakis listens to the fans?
Yes.
Because, do you really think?
Yeah, they're all over social media. I think. I think you'd be in this day and age. It's look. The players are so cautious with what they put on social media, rightfully so, because some of our fans can be absolutely toxic and horrible. But today, you've seen a lot of players come out on Instagram, particularly saying we're together, we keep fighting, blah blah blah, which I think is a really good thing. But I'm sure they look at social media. I'm almost positive they do. They must do. If you didn't, you'd be stupid not to, really, because you'd want to read the room. If everyone was saying, get him out, like with Houghton, we all wanted him gone, didn't we? It was 95%, get him out of our club. He's a toxic, it's just not working. I don't think it's, look, he's going to make his mind up regardless of us. But I do think we play a huge part in it. We haven't had this kind of manager at the City Ground for a long time. So, we're all feeling something here. We've all realised this guy gets it. We're not doing the manager, Russian roulette. We've got someone who actually gets Forest, who understands the club, understands the history, understands our culture. And it hasn't been great this year, but we've got to stick with him. We've got to, because otherwise we're just going to go back on that roller coaster again. We'll get, probably get relegated. We'll be in that crap again. It'll probably take us another 20 years to get back up again. So,
don't say that. Don't say that.
No, I don't think it would. But I think they've definitely read the room, 100%. That's just my opinion. I might be completely wrong, but I think they'd be stupid not to listen to the fans, because after all, we're the ones that, fill the stadiums. You're the ones that travel home and away. We're the ones that pay all our money. You've got to listen to the fans in some respects, surely.
This Mark, and this is really interesting because he's been here. Marinakis has been here for 5 years now, and all of us know what he's like especially with Olympiacos. And I'll start with Forest. He likes that managers like that, but. This is for you, Mark.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Do you think he's learnt, like Olympiacos? No, Olympiacos manager's gone. Do you think he's learnt now how to deal in the English way? Because if you keep losing, don't sack the manager now. Because Olympiacos, you lose 5 or 6, it's easy to do it in Greece. But when you're in England, it's not. Don't listen to the BS. From the journalists or the social media or lot. Do you think Marinakis is learnt, Mark, now?
I really don't know. I mean, unless he comes out and says a bit more about why he has stuck by Cooper, we're not going to know, because Premier League is a different situation. He's ploughed a lot of his resource into us rather than Olympiacos, and so he's definitely looking to what Forest are doing much more than Olympiacos. I don't really know. It's difficult. It's difficult to read, because a lot was made of the way he looked, and that he looked really, really angry.
Mark, you keep crashing, Mark. Mark, you keep crashing again. Mark, you're not been paying your bill, have you, Mark?
But no, but you keep freezing on me. Let's actually speak freezing. I don't know.
Mark, come back in, come back out again. I don't know. Oh my days.
I'll get one more go, and then if that doesn't work, then
try one more go. Oh. Michaela, I'll ask you, Michaela. The same question I just said to Mark. Like, Marinakis has been here for 5 years. I don't sacked so many managers at Forest, but do you think he's learning how to deal with. Like in Greece, he can't. I know he controls some of the Greek media, but with us, he can't.
Watch it.
I'm just be careful what I'm saying.
Well,
do you know where I'm coming from?
Aren't Olympiacos on their 4th manager this season?
Yes.
Yes. So I think he's learning. I'm hoping he's learning to a certain degree. I get the feeling that if it was up to them, he might have gone a long time ago, possibly. But I'm hoping he's learning. I think it's a different kettle of fish with our team and our club, and I think he's got a very young. Because you forget Cooper's young, isn't he? He's younger than me. He's very young. I think he's a very young manager. He's very well respected. We all respect and love him. So I think, we can't. I don't know what he's thinking. It's like all these journalists that put words in people's mouths. Like you can't tell, can you? My feeling is yes, they've learned, and it's look. Who would we get in now anyway to take over the last? How many games it is?
10
9
games,
games, 10 games. Like
yeah.
who would we get in really? Would you get Brendan Rodgers in? You'd have to pay him a load of money. It would be a bloody, so I think they're learning. I think Ellie's right though. I think it's not like a cast iron, he's here to stay. I think it's let's just see how it pans out, people. That's my opinion, although I'm doing what the journalists do now. But I think he has.
Michaela, don't like people know how I feel about.
I'm not going to lower myself to the no, but I think I'm hoping they have learned. They've read the room. They have learned, and they're look. If we go down, there's no other manager I'd want more than Steve Cooper to take us back up again. Personally, I don't think he was very good in the Championship. So. And anyone that came in is going to have a bloody disaster on their hands, aren't they? They're going to have 300 players they've got to make happy, and half of them will want to leave, half of them will want to, it's a complete mess, isn't it? So the only person that can get us out of this mess is probably is Cooper, I think.
There's 83 people in. If you can do a massive favor for me, please do hit the like button if you can, and subscribe if you know. Mark, are you okay to talk? Or is your Wi-Fi not working?
Yeah, I'm coming through, okay.
Oh. Girls, what do you think? Girls, what do you think?
You're just a bit scratchy. You're a bit in and outy.
I'm just going to move somewhere else in the house. I'll just be a second.
Yeah. Okay, move on.
No. Bedroom where the Wi-Fi is good.
The Wi-Fi is good. No, what? Michaela.
With the Wi-Fi strong.
Let's talk about yesterday's game.
Oh, do we have
Ellie?
To?
Yes, Ellie. Talk to me, man. People in the comments as well. How did you feel about the game? This is people in the comments as well. And Ellie, talk to me.
It was it was a classic away performance from Nottingham Forest. I think it's the best way to summarise. I mean, we had 8 minutes of just pure joy, but it was also I'm, as everyone knows, very positive, very optimistic. However, I also do believe in, statistics. And when we went 1-0 up, it was, this is too early. There's a lot of time to concede.
Yeah.
But it was just horrible. Scoring was nice. That was fun. I like that bit.
That was fun.
Great goal. It was a good goal.
It was a good goal. Dennis passed the ball. That was nice too. Sorry, Dennis. Big goal. Great goal. Well, not your goal, but anyways, but it was just kind of, we looked disjointed. I think as much as it's a bit of a silly thing probably to say and sounds a lot like excuses, but I'm not trying to excuse the way we played. I think a large thing that has mugged us off this season, but it's our own fault technically, is injuries. And I don't mean as in we're necessarily missing individual players. We are missing Yatesy. That's a massive one. I will stand by that man forever. But I think as well, as I kind of mentioned earlier, consistency. When you've come up into the Premier League, made God knows how many signings it was at the time, and then got basically a entirely new squad, everything everyone was saying was, how are they going to gel? But then when you've got a whole new squad and then that pretty much the whole first 11 either gets injured, isn't really our first 11, and we've picked the wrong first 11. If you look at who's actually consistently played throughout the season, it's Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs-White, who briefly was injured, and Nico Williams-ish. There's no cohesion, and there's not going to be. So I think that does play a part. And I'm not saying that's an excuse, because to have the amount of injuries we've had, something's clearly going wrong. But also, I think what was also clear was our heads go down once we concede, which obviously you're not going to be happy about. It just didn't feel like we were fighting back. And that was something that particularly frustrated me when I was watching the second half in particular, was the way that it almost felt like Leeds did want it more. Every second ball, how they got it didn't matter. If they were throwing themselves on the floor, getting it in the scrappiest of ways, they were putting like their bodies on the line and gonna get that ball. And it felt like we were lacking that fight. It felt like the team looked defeated and were playing like a defeated team, as if we were only 2-1 down, but to them it looked like they were 4-0 down. They were playing as if there was nothing to gain. And I think that's what we've been massively lacking. There's some great players in our squad and in our first 11, even though obviously a lot of our players are injured. There's a lot of talent and a lot of potential there, and I have full belief in them. But like I say, when you've got no consistency, it's hard to create that cohesion. And I think we really were missing Yatesy, missing any sort of consistency, and completely unable to keep our chins up.
I've criticised a lot, and this is for you, Michaela, a lot with our midfield. And you said about Ryan Yates. I don't want to say because Ryan Yates. I love Ryan Yates. Everyone loves Ryan Yates. But I've been criticising the midfield so much, Michaela. Like, do you think the bigger issue is the midfield? Because actually we keep chopping and changing. And yesterday, I think it's the first time we're stuck with the same midfield. But it's still not working, is it, Michaela? We're struggling.
It's weird because, like, I think like Mangala is a player. Like, I think he can play some. Like our last home game, I thought he was magnificent. I thought it was really top notch. I think Freuler's played in the wrong position. Like for Switzerland, we watched the Switzerland game, and he's really far forward. He's creating goals and stuff. He's asked to do a dirty, nasty job for us. So I don't know. It's like the mix is wrong, and I feel like someone said to me today, like, who are the leaders on the pitch? Who are the people who's the people, the nuts and bolts of that team? And I think that's kind of what we're missing a little bit. Like, I'm a huge Joe Worrell fan, so I always want to play our captain. But for me, like the midfield, they're very talented, but like Danilo is young. I think he played some really nice football, but he's young, isn't he? And he's petulant, and he'll do like silly things and stuff. So the mix is wrong, isn't it? There's just something not quite right. I think maybe it is missing Ryan Yates. It's missing that steel. It's missing that heart, that engine, that tenacity. Like even when Colback plays, I think he brings a little bit of that fire in your belly kind of thing, gets stuck in. Shelby did well when he came on, to be fair. He did some really nice things.
We missed that. I think we missed it because I think when he come on, I think it was a through ball to, was it Dennis?
Yes,
I think it was. And we missed it.
Beautiful.
We missed it, didn't we?
And I think we need a bit of steel in midfield. Like Leeds were just taking, just like they were having us for breakfast. Like it was at times it was a bit like embarrassing, but individually, I think those midfielders are really good players. They're incredibly talented. They're man of the match for their teams, respectively. Mangala was phenomenal for his country, as was Freuler. So I think they get a lot of crap, but I think it's the system. I think the system isn't suiting their style of play personally.
Mark, are you alive?
Hello.
He's in the kit. He's in the kit.
Hey! He's alive. He's alive.
He's got a tour of the house.
Yeah, he's going to the house. Mark, we're going to mention Morgan Gibbs White because I personally think I think he's a talented player, but he hasn't. He played good against Wolves because he got a point to prove against them.
Very good.
But it wasn't good for me yesterday. I know it wasn't yesterday. I'm not trying to pick it on him, but he's a player that he makes things happen because we've got him, we've got Jono. Jono's on form, but Morgan Gibbs White for me is slipped. What's your opinion? And people in the comments, what do you think about Morgan Gibbs White? Do you think he slipped a little bit? What do you think, Mark?
I think overall, since he's come, I've liked what he's done. I think he's worth the money. He has been a bit unfortunate because of some of the injuries we've had. So he started striking up a nice little partnership with Lingard, and then Lingard's dropped off or been injured. He started striking up a little bit of a partnership with Jono, but then because there was other changes going off elsewhere, so like he wasn't sort of like interacting with Jono so much. So it's almost sometimes like he's trying to do too much on his own, same as sometimes we've accused Dennis of, trying to do too much of it on his own. The thing that does let him down is sometimes a few little tricks that he tries. Maybe he needs to drop them off for a bit and just concentrate on other stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, really, you're talking about in the midfield a short while ago. It's early on in the season, we were crying out to see Freuler, Mangala, and O'Brien play together, and it never really happened. But what it's shown for me since is how much we've missed Yatesy and Koyate, to give that midfield a bit of steel. And I think the match that I always go back to is Liverpool at home. And Yatesy and Koyate were outstanding that day. And they say you need to boss the midfield to win, do well in the Premier League. And we've just not really had a settled midfield all the way along. And that's been, one of the main reasons, I think, why we struggled to get anything away at all.
Ellie, let's talk about the Brazilian centre back, Felipe. For me,
Who? Felipe.
Felipe, yeah.
Felipe.
People in the comments, don't bother. People in the comments, don't bother. For me, it was my match. It was my man of the match. Top player, won it, Ella.
Absolutely. The amount of times where I turn around and go, thank God Felipe was there. Thank God for Felipe in that moment. That God knows how many we would have conceded. I know that's a very stupid thing to say because it's not quite that simple, but God knows how many we would have conceded if he wasn't there. And he is such a player. He's just fantastic. His reading of the game, I think where we are without him at the moment is a bit scary. And I would argue for me, what I think is our biggest problem, if we were to put it down to attack, midfield, defence, is our defence. Even though we have this Felipe, who's absolutely fantastic, I just think, obviously, injuries aren't great and we're not playing who we necessarily want to be playing. But I think it does mean that people are having to cover, because if we look at, especially the game yesterday, when we looked at Nico Williams and Harry Toffolo, I'm not slating them in the slightest. I really like both of them as players. I think Nico's got a lot of potential. He's very young still. And I think Toffolo did a great job in the Championship. But I think we kept, every time Leeds was attacking, they were always able to play it inside every single time. And it was you'd watch it with a bit of frustration, like, oh, you should have known what was coming there, and you really didn't want to do that. And it did mean it was leaving Felipe often having to cover all the time. And I think, as has been said, it was a lot of the time Felipe versus Leeds.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of the time yesterday. Not to have a go at our own players, but they know that they didn't play yesterday. They'll know it. It doesn't mean they can't play, and it doesn't mean they're bad players, but they know they didn't perform to their best. I think even Johnson didn't have his best game in the world. He wasn't bad by no means, but no one played other than Felipe, I would say, how they should have and how we know that they can and how they have in the past. And it's a bad day at the office when Johnson is having a rough game, because we know how ridiculously good he has been for us.
I think the Leeds lot trying to wind him up, especially second half.
Yeah, you could see. I think he needs to be careful not to lose his head. That's his only thing.
No, you know what? Right, let me.
I like a feisty Johnson.
You know what? Right, right. You know what it is, right. Before I talk about it, I've got a super chat, and it's from Kieran. Thank you for £1.99. That's going straight to Mark's Wi-Fi when he sorts it out. Sorry, Mark, I had to say that. You know what? I'll be honest. I didn't like Johnson when he was getting too involved, but now I slowly I think he needs it.
I like it.
I started Feisty Johnson. I like it. David Johnson. I like it.
Oh, it scares me though.
No, I like it.
You're the one player that we need to stay on the pitch, and we need you. Don't risk it.
The Wolves game, he was feisty, and I loved it. I felt like he had. I know Alison killed me, but I think like yesterday was a bit maybe too feisty. But that Wolves game,
he needs that in his game, though.
When people tackle him, if someone does a bit of a rough challenge on him, I think he's a bit like his daddy. Like he gets a bit of a.
He's not like his dad. No, sorry, no, he's not like his dad.
No,
sorry.
I think I like a pissed off Brennan. I think he needs a bit of fire in his belly, because I think Morgan Gibbs-White is phenomenal, and I think he's one of the best players I've seen at City Ground. But that kid wants to win. He's very young. He wants to win. The frustration of those two players, the pressure on those two young men to do the business week in, week out. They're picked every bloody game. It must be ridiculous. Like, they know it's all on them. You've signed people like, well, I'm not going to be nasty, but those guys have to perform, and the pressure must be incredible. Like, we don't win away from home, so everyone's looking at Brennan and Morgan Gibbs-White to score those goals, and it must be so frustrating, because it's like, oh God, I haven't done it again, and like every pass they miss, people are grow. It's a lot, and we need to remember that these are young people. These are like 21-year-olds. They're not 30-year-old seasoned pros that've been in the Premier League for 10 years. So it's tough. Good job, West Ham.
Just see West Ham winning 5-1. Does that mean Dave Moyes going to be sacked? And that means I've got to tweet about TalkSport again. Just saying.
What's that, 13th? Yeah. Oh.
And listen to my. If I mention TalkSport, I'll get told off by some fellow Forest fans. But I'm not gonna, mention that. Mark, this frustrates me so much, right? Lee's first goal, and that was Navas' fault for palming. He should have palmed it towards a corner flag. I see the debate. People mentioned about when Dean Henson comes back, we need him back in goal. People in the comments, who do you prefer in goal, Dean Henson or Navas? Mark, let me go through the panel. Let me go through you, Mark. Who do you prefer, Navas or Dean Henson? People in the comments, who do you prefer?
I think Dino's going to come back in anyway because of our results. Navas, it was a breath of fresh air when he first came in. The goal, I wasn't too fussed about the fact that he parried it back out. What really concerned me was two of Leeds players were anticipating the rebound. None of our defenders were. So that was why it went in the end. The shot was through a crowd of players. Not always easy to parry it where you want at speed. And that was what did it for me, that two of their players were straight on it, reacting. Our defenders were just static on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Ellie?
I like Navas. He's, we all know his record. He's a ridiculous keeper, and the fact that we've got him is also insane. But I like Henderson. I don't really like to say things like that and, say I'd rather someone else, but I personally prefer Henderson. I think he performed so well for us. Maybe it's just because, to be fair, we've not been playing as well and we're conceding more goals, but I do prefer Henderson. What I love, and maybe this is probably not the thing I should love, but it is what I love. I love that he's a bit psychotic.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like stabbing from the back all the time. I just think it's brilliant.
Do that again. Do that again.
And I think it works. Like, making the defense like, right, you watch yourselves. Like, I love it. And I think Navas is class. He can make some ridiculous saves, but he's perhaps made a few mistakes where he should have caught it with two hands, for example. That's happened a few times, or like say palmed it towards the corner flag, and just little things. And I know it's not that easy by any means. I'm no keeper, but I just do prefer Dean Henderson. And I'm really sorry, Keylor Navas. I think you're really cool.
He is cool, man. It's still one more trophies than over any other club. So, Michaela, another player that's been criticised a lot, Dennis. Like, what? I've got. You got to answer it. This is why you're here. What if people in the comments? What do you think of Dennis? I think
he's actually playing better, isn't he? He's playing better.
People comment. What do you think, people? What do you think? Comment.
Look, this is not going to come to surprise me, people, but I'd rather give my boy Sam Surridge a go because I think he's earned it, and I think he deserves a chance. He's literally had no minutes. I think it's ridiculous. I feel like Sam would work harder, would play a bit more football, would probably win the ball and pass it more. But Dennis, to be fair, has played better, hasn't he? But is better good enough in the Premier League? I want someone to play at their very best. So I think, he's definitely done better than he has been, but I'd rather play Sam over him or Ayew any day, personally. That's just my opinion.
What about you, Mark? I feel sorry for Sam. I really do feel sorry for him. Like, he's not. He can't get a sniff in the lineup. No. What's your opinion, Mark, on him?
I find it strange why he's not had more game time. Nothing against Chris Wood, but he came in and Cooper was playing him straight away. Sam Surridge just wasn't getting a look in. I don't know whether he wants to use him sparingly because he had that groin operation at the start of the season. But even then, it's been long enough now. So, I'd like to see him get more game time. And Dennis went off injured, didn't he? So there could be opportunity down that left-hand side again. It is strange. It is strange how he's not had more game time.
Well, people, 5 minutes to go. This is the main question for everyone. Like I said, we are in trouble. You can't hide behind it. I want to ask Ellie this. Like, I remember people remember this. Last season, she was on the show. It was me, Foxy, and what's his name again? What's his name? What's his name now? Who was on? Really, it was Foxy, me, you. What's his name now?
I don't remember. I should know that because I play it all the time.
No, right. Ellie said, "This is a special moment. If people don't know, halfway through the season, and Ellie said we'll finish 13th, we'll finish 4th. and we went up, and she was right. So I'm going to go for you, Ellie, first.
I think
Where people in the comments as well, get involved. A Forest going down. And where do you think? No, where do you think Forest will finish? Where do you think Forest will finish? People in the comments. Be honest. Be honest, people. You go first, Ellie. Steve Curry. This is Steve Curry. That's it. Steve Curry. It was Steve Curry. Steve Curry. Sorry, Steve. Sorry.
It was a long time ago.
Wow.
But I still think we're staying up. I refuse to see it any other way. I think we're staying up. We're going to, hopefully, this confirmation-ish that Steve Cooper's still in might help give us a bit more of a boost. But I do think we're staying up. And I don't know.
Where? What position?
Well, I predicted 13th at the before the season. And it's still very possible.
Yeah.
There's only 2 points between us and 13th. And obviously it does require us to do a job, to score goals and to get a few points in the bag. And I don't know, maybe I'm really cocky and I genuinely believe that I possess like creepy psychic powers. I refuse to go back on 13th, right? I refuse. I back myself. 13th. I'm not going back on it now.
13th, you said.
13th. It's only two. It sounds ridiculous considering we're 17th at the minute, but we're 2 points from 13th. And Leeds look like a terrible side. We gifted them that game, respectfully, or maybe disrespectfully. I don't really like Leeds. Sorry, not sorry. And if you just look at, the teams that we've got in and around there, it's Wolves, West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth, Leicester, and Southampton. Well, they're as good as relegated. I don't see them. I know it's very close, but I don't see them getting many points out of the next few games. They just look awful, respectfully. And I think it really is doable. I think any game that we play at home, we should be winning, regardless of the opposition, based on our home form and the way that we know we can play. I know that's a bit of a rogue thing to say. And we've got Arsenal. We always beat them at home. So, let's do that again. It is down to maybe stealing a point or two away, which terrifies me. But if I said 13th pre-season, I stand by it. 13th.
Okay, so Alex says 13th. Michaela, where are we finishing? I see people in comments as well. I can see comments as well. There's some weird one. This weird one said.
Sarah says, in the comments.
Sadly, we get relegation. Claire says 16th. Mark says 17th. Sean says 16th. He's Bristol City fan. We'll finish 13th. I'll give. Okay, wait, Derek, wait. Ellie, look, Ellie, look at this comment. If we finish 13th, I'll give you. What about me? I'm saying 13th.
Take a picture. That's a contract.
I said it pre-season, and I got mugged off by some radio man who was like, "Are you drinking?" And it just feels like deja vu. So I'm just saying. I can't remember.
Right.
I should have got his name. And they were all like, eagle-eyed optimism, being really patronising. And he said, halfway through the season, we'll see where you are. Halfway through the season, we were 13th, and the table was exactly as I predicted it. Did I get a call? No. Didn't want to admit that he was in the wrong. And I tagged him. I called him out. I said, do you remember this? Because I certainly do. I won't forget it. I hold grudges. Watch what you say, especially.
Derek, let me tell you straight. If we finish 13th, I want half of that. I'm telling you right now. I want half of it.
I love Ben. Ben getting in on the action.
Mr. Good to meet you in the Legend Lounge last week. Michaela, what was yours, Michaela?
Lounge. Ooh, wear your suit.
What was yours, Michaela?
I'm going to go with 17th. I think we'll do it by the skin of our teeth. We deserve to be in this league. Just It's going to be. We've got to just get the games coming up seem ridiculous. Every game you're like, oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare. Like Villa's going to be a nightmare. Man U's going to be a nightmare. Arsenal are going to be a nightmare. It's going to be, but we just need a couple of like freaky results, don't we? We need to get a weird, we need to beat Villa 5-4 or something, and then we just need to win all our home games. But I think it's going to be bloody tight. I think I'm going to be in Florida with that Crystal Palace game is playing, holding on to my sun lounger for grim death, hoping that we just do it. So I'll go 17th. But I want to be with Ellie. I want us to finish 13th so we can go to everybody. But yeah, I'm not as optimistic and pretty and young as this young lady. But yeah, I'll go 17th.
Okay. Last but not least, Mark. Do you want that grand as well? Mark wants a grand as well. Derek.
If you look back on any streams I've been on, and before the start of the season, I said 13th.
Don't start.
Yeah, no, I did. I've said 13th all the way along.
In the kitchen.
Wait, Derek. Does Mark get a grand as well? Does that mean I get half of that?
He's saying, I'll gladly pay a grand if we finish 13th. To Michaela, Ellie, Dore, and Mark. There you go.
That's it. No. I'll take Michaela's. I'll keep half.
I really, at the moment, like Kelly says, we're not that far off 13.
The problem, you know what it is? Because, like I said, if we do win against Villa, we're going to 13th.
Yeah.
It's that close, isn't it? It's crazy.
If we lose against Villa, we will actually drop into the bottom three because Leicester are playing Southampton. Bournemouth, sorry. Leicester are playing Bournemouth. So no matter what the outcome of that match is, if we don't get at least a point against Villa, we will drop into the bottom three. So that's, so for me, I just look at the next few matches and I'm filled with dread a bit because of who we're playing. I know we're capable of beating anyone at home. We've beaten Liverpool at home. We've got a point against Man City at home. We've got points against Chelsea. So in that respect, I don't mind playing Man U and Arsenal at home. But
we always beat Arsenal at home. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's just like it could easily go the other way. So it's. And because there's so many teams involved, when you look back at all the historical tables of the Premier League, there has never been so many teams involved in a relegation battle so far before the end of the season. You've normally got one or two dropping away by now, and so that at least one, maybe two are already possibly down, and then the rest is just sort of like bitting and bobbing for what they can get. But this time round, only takes one or two results and everything changes again. A couple of weeks ago, people were saying West Ham, Everton, Leicester, they shouldn't be where they are. They've got the squads to stay up. And they're still down there. It's just so hard to predict.
That mini league is so crazy. Like I said, if we get a performance and a win up against Villa, we go to 13th, and LA gets a grand, and even Mark gets a grand.
I could do that,
and I get a grand.
I will rub it in that Burnley man's face. I'm
rub it in his face. Ooh.
Okay, so
Ben, where do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, put your money where your mouth is. Don't say 13th to punch you. What do you think?
Stop
honestly?
Sharing my money.
Yeah. Come on.
On the performance on yesterday, 19th.
Oh.
That's on performance. That's on yesterday's performance because we was awful.
Yeah.
So I've got to be like we'll get relegated if we carry on the way we're playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree too because it was crap.
So it's okay.
Yeah, but 1 win. If we get 1 win, we go back up. But 1 defeat. Okay, I'll say it. 16th. Say it now.
Ooh.
I'll say 16th. 16th. People think if you think I'm deluded, just say it. So I'll say 16th.
I don't
But
think
to look,
included though, with the way the table's looking, 2 points and we jump up to 13th is a bit of a madness. And even, I mean, our goal difference means that just forget about it, basically. But I think even 12th is only 30 points. Who's in 12th? Yeah. Yeah,
Mark-
the Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, our goal difference is a shambles, so, you know, that means nothing. But that's ridiculous. A ridiculous table. Everything is to play for. And just imagine we just win a couple of games. And I don't see many of the other teams winning particularly many games at all. I know that they've got probably in theory a better run of games than us, but as you know, I don't believe in winnable games. I don't believe that's a thing. There's no such thing as a winnable game. Anything can happen if you have the right mindset. I know that's like a really primary school fun way of looking at things, but it's just the way it is. And Forest have a tendency to be like, let's beat Liverpool 1-0 and then get smacked up by Leicester 4-0 or something rogue. I feel like we're the type to just make things interesting. We just like a bit of drama. That's all it is. We like a bit of drama.
Derek said Mark gets a router. Wait, Derek, what does me and Michaela get? What do me and Michaela get? Ellie gets a grand. He gets a router. Derek, what do I get if we finish 16th?
No one wants to finish 16th, though. We do, but
We do.
we do.
Where's the fun in that?
Right, Derek. Before I go, if we finish 16th, what do I get? What do I get?
Respect.
Yeah, respect. I get that. I get 16th. I get it. Right. Before we do go, like I said, it's been a pleasure, people. Like I say, I'm so happy that Steve Cooper is staying for the time being.
Look at the eyebrows on that.
For the time being. Yeah, it's like I said, all the nonsense media. Like before, I have a little rant. I'm fed up with all the especially talk sport. What's that guy's name again? What's his name? Mark. What's his name?
Casanova, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
who cares? He's an idiot.
He's a bellend.
Cascarino.
No, the other guy. What's his name? People in the comments.
Tony.
You know. No. What's his name? He's actually bellend. I'm happy to say. That's it. Crooks. Adam Cook. Thank you, Chris. Crooks.
Derek said you'll get a $5.
Why do I
finish 16th?
Why do I get a $5?
Because you didn't predict it pre-season.
What did I predict pre-season? I said 13.
I
said 13. Wait. I said 13. I said 13, people. I'm gonna look back.
I need the receipts.
Proof. Yeah. Bring the receipts. Bring the receipts.
I got plenty of receipts. I've been way too cocky about it.
Derek. Message me on social media. I'll send you the link. And I said 13.
He's desperate for this money, Ellie. He's desperate.
I need the money. I'm not even paid my season ticket yet, so that's why I'm just waiting for.
Mine's jumped up by nearly £500. I've been mugged off. Mine's gone from 150 to 600.
Right, people like that.
Ben.
Huh?
There's another statement gone on Facebook. I've got permission to use this. It's off the back of the earlier statement from the club, and this is from an L. Tilson.
Lee Tilson.
Yeah, I might have to bleep some of it out, but basically it says Cooper stays. Now a statement for the media. Off and find another target, you slimy. He's our manager. The fans love him. So do the players. And the owner has done all he can to put everybody's mind at rest. Will that be enough to detract Snide Sports or Talkshite South to back off? Who knows? But hopefully this statement prompts the same bounce it had in October when the Vultures were circling. And like I said, that's from Mr. L. Tilson.
Mr. L. Lee,
well said, Lee.
Lee, well
Lee
done,
for president.
No, don't. No, you're pushing it now, Michaela. Pushing it now.
That was good.
Right, people.
Let's do a bounce, people.
We're gonna do a bounce, people.
13th, Ellie. It's gonna be it's gonna be
Right.
brilliant.
Before I go, Derek, I'm going to look at the first podcast of Premier League. I did say 13th. I'm guaranteed I said 13th.
I don't believe you. I don't believe
Derek, message me on Twitter or anywhere if you do.
He's going to be like this, editing.
I'm finding it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, Ellie. I'm going to tag you, Ellie. And if I did say 13th, I'm going to tag you. I say I want the money, but yeah.
No, you're just copying me now. You know that I'm a witch.
Yes.
You're just following in my footsteps.
Oh, right.
I think there's going to be some doctoring going on. It's going to be like you're going to see 16 come out his mouth, and it's going to change magically to 13. Absolute nonsense. I think Kevin Campbell will remember. We did a show and we all predicted.
Yeah, that was that one last season.
Right, and when we went up, he said, "Do your prediction now." I think you said 14th.
I'm going to find it. 14th. I'm going to find it, people, and then I'm going to put it on social media, and I'm going to tag Ellie and Michaela and Derek. I'll find you, Derek. Don't go hiding. Right, people, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for everyone for that that's coming up. If you can do a massive favor for me, please do hit the like button. I'm on 49 likes, people. Get me to 75 likes if you can. I've got a podcast tomorrow at 9 o'clock with Aston Villa fan. That starts at 9.
Ooh.
So that'd be fantastic. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Ellie, you back to the drawing board. I know Ellie supports Newcastle. She's got a fellow who supports Newcastle.
I'm sorry.
So
Someone has to.
But yeah, so it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ellie, for coming on. Michaela, as always, thank you for coming on. And Mark, and the Super Cooper. Michaela, before you go, as your fellow Matt, got any new merch coming out?
Oh, loads. It's always got stuff coming out.
People, if you want any merch from Matt from this website,
Rogues Gallery, people. Rogues Gallery.
If you want, go on the website, get some Forest merch, any merch, whatever TB Sport merch. Go and follow this. And thank you, Mark, for coming on. I know your Wi-Fi wasn't working, but I'll get you a new one, the £2 one that was donated from Kieran.
We've seen Mark's house, though. We've seen all around Mark's house, which I've quite enjoyed.
I think it must have just been where I was in the house, not that my Wi-Fi wasn't working.
Oh, days. And the last before you, where's that comment from someone? You don't need the one. You've got the down button.
Yeah, tell that bastard.
It's somewhere in Nottingham. I don't know where.
You can sell them. You know they're worth a fortune, aren't they?
I don't know. I haven't got a clue. If people want to buy my play button, come and message me. I'll sell it to someone. Show me the money. Show me the money.
Derek, buy it for £1,000.
No, what? You might more than that. Right, people, I'm gonna get going. Thank you for everyone as well. I'd like to be back 9 o'clock tomorrow with an Aston Villa fan. 9 o'clock, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. Ellie, Michaela, and Mark, thank you very much. We're happy that Super Cooper is staying. It's been a pleasure. And one more time, peace and love. Up the Forest.
Up the Forest.